Hi, I'm Amber,
And I'm Kirsten.
and you're listening to
Lurking in the Shadows. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Today, it is the day after the Super Bowl. We're recording this. The Eagles won, so hell yeah.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah, it was.
Crazy.
It was nice to watch and enjoy some company. But now we are back to murder. So today we are talking about the Heather Elvis case. I'm talking about the Heather Elvis case. This is my first case. I feel like her case definitely did not get enough recognition, so I think that's why I wanted to definitely bring some light to it.
And I've heard of this case, but I don't know all the details.
Yes, so, and I didn't know all the details, but all right, let's get into it. So, Heather Elvis was born June 30th, 1993, so she was our age. Her family consisted of her younger sister, her parents, Terry and Debbie Elvis, and by everybody's accounts, all her friends, she was lively and outspoken. Everybody loved her. She was outgoing. She loved makeup and being behind the camera. She talked about modeling and being in 2013. This was the day and age that she had a smartphone. So she was taking pictures and getting into she probably would have been totally into social media and
definitely.
TikTok and stuff
It would
nowadays.
have been Facebook at that time.
Yeah, it would have been.
2009.
Yeah, she had a Facebook, so
And I don't know when Instagram started.
I don't know either, but she would have definitely loved all that. She was actually also going to cosmetology school. She loved makeup. She graduated from high school in 2011 from St. James High School, which is right down the street from me, actually. I'm local currently to this case. It happens in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, so sure you guys know that area with the Brittany Drexel case, which got, I feel like, a lot more attention. But
it did, yeah.
She moved in after high school with a roommate in Carolina Forest in Myrtle Beach, which is probably about 15 minutes from me. She worked two jobs at the time, House of Blues, which is in North Myrtle Beach, and the Tilted Kilt, which is near Broadway, closer to my house, probably only about 10 minutes from my house. It's no longer in business, but where the building is I think, another restaurant that's in there now. But the Tilted Kilt is where this begins. Heather started working there in June of 2013, and the Tilted Kilt is a Irish-Scottish bar, like Hooters. So women in little get-ups serving you, so.
So a good time.
Yeah, always. As far as I know, it was still open when I moved down there in 2016. So it was still up and running, but I don't know exactly what made it go out of business.
Right.
But
I wonder if this case had anything to do with it.
I don't know, because it's 2013. It was probably maybe 2017, 2018 then it closed. So it wasn't long after I moved down there. So in June 2013, a maintenance man named Sidney Moore was at the Tilted Kilt to do some work. He's a welder. And he happened to catch Heather's eye. He's a little bit older, but maybe that was what Heather was into.
And how old was she at this time?
She is 20.
20.
Yes, she'll be 20. So Sidney Moore is a married man, but Heather did not know that he was a married man. And this also was not his first affair. But Heather, she didn't know any of this. And Sidney is married to his wife, Tammy, for 15 years. They had 3 kids together. And like I said, he was a welder and opened his own business in 2002. And it was still going up till...
That's impressive.
Yeah, so he opened his own business. He was born in 1976, which would make him 37 when he was introduced to Heather.
So he could almost be her dad.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yep. I couldn't really find any criminal background on Sydney other than some petty shoplifting and a dispute with a neighbor. But otherwise, no record. Tammy Moore is a shitty human being. Low key, has the attitude of my sister, but you know. You'll see why. She made all her money from lawsuits and settlements. Oh. You know, she's sue happy.
So she didn't have a job?
No. Well, she tried starting her own travel agency business. A few weeks before the crime actually happened, she started this business.
Interesting.
Yeah. She mostly focused on Disney travel planning. She went to Disneyland a lot, and right before the crime, Tammy and Sydney went on a cross-country road trip to Disneyland for like a couple weeks.
Well, at least she didn't take Disney World.
No, Disneyland, unfortunately, still, but you know. Yeah. She was described, Tammy, as controlling and dominant, specifically towards Sydney. Tammy's sister was even quoted stating to police that she handcuffed Sydney to the bed as punishment. Now, I don't know if this was kinky kind of play or not. I don't know.
Did it say how long?
No, there was no other details other than just that quote from the sister.
Interesting.
But Tammy was born in 1972, which would make her 41 at the time of meeting Heather. And again, Heather is 20.
Wow, so she's literally double her age.
Yes. Okay. So, back at the Tilted Kilt, over the next 3 months from June till October-ish, Heather and Sydney, it got hot and heavy real quick. there was no hesitation there. There was, but again, at this point, she didn't know that he was married. But apparently everybody at the Tilted Kilt knew what was going on. And I'm just like, I can't believe that.
No one told her.
I don't know. Every resource I found was, every single one of them said that she never knew until a little bit later. Like, she does find out. But at this point, when it's hot and heavy and it's fresh and new, and they're totally into each other, she didn't know, as far as any research I could find. But everybody else knew. It was a police officer in the one documentary I watched said it was Myrtle Beach's worst kept secret at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So they weren't hiding it or anything like that. They were literally not caught, like there was no caught instances, but they were saying about even instances of them like doing it in Tilted Kilt or like out in the parking lot in the car, like literally on the clock type of thing.
Well, she has nothing to hide. She thinks it's just her relationship.
Yeah, she's 20, young, like get it.
You think he'd want to be a little more conspicuous?
No, yeah, right. I mean, Tammy ain't working, so what is she must be at home, you know, while he's.
I guess there's nowhere else they could go.
Yep. So, 3 months of this going on, some coworkers from the Tilted Kilt decided to prank call Heather and pretend to be Tammy, and so that's kind of, I think, how she found out. Okay. But it was a prank call, and as she figured out the prank call or whatever, people being dumb, you know, but that kind of like rattled her a little bit, but nothing, like, didn't rattle her too much. But a month later then, after that, so now we're getting closer to November, Tammy actually did call Heather and cursed her out, called her names.
So I wonder how Tammy found out. Did people tell her maybe?
I'm guessing that I don't know. I didn't find that. I didn't find as to actually how
she's controlling. Maybe
she is. Yeah, phone something. Yeah. Or somebody just told her.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. There was no information as to what Tammy was doing other than she didn't have a job or anything,
Right.
while all this is going on between Heather
Right.
and Sydney. So, but she's calling her on the phone, saying she's gonna beat her ass, like going ham. You know, she's mad. His phone. So that maybe that is how she found out, because she had his phone.
Yeah.
So like, like not even pretending to be Sydney. Like it's
Right.
her being Tammy, just like on her constantly. Like,
well, I hope she's doing the same to her husband, because he made this decision. Like Heather had no idea.
Yeah, I know. No, I don't.
Heather.
There was never any like, oh, Sydney got his ass whooped or anything like that. There was never, you know, that she did anything. It was right now. Tammy was just like relentlessly taking out on Heather digitally.
I feel like that often happens though. Like when you're cheated on, you don't go after your significant other. You're going after the person that was doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, and I get it. Like
and
you're,
like I was guilty of that in high school.
yeah,
you know?
especially when you're young. But she's 41. There's no excuse for fucking Tammy. Like, come on, get it together. And so it was from Sydney's phone, and she was blasting her even on Facebook, like literally every digital way that she could harass this girl.
Her family was like Heather's family was seeing this on Facebook.
They didn't say that. Like they were specifically seeing it. I don't know if they were on Facebook, but they were aware of like Heather being scared of this person, you know. Yeah. And Heather had told her roommate actually that Tammy was scaring her, and that Heather, she started to, though, that like text back. She was actually trying to be mature at first and just be like, ignore, like, go away, you know, leave me alone. But then it eventually got to the point where Heather was like sick of her shit and was like retorting back, you know. So, which, I mean, she's defending herself. Right. She put up with a lot for somebody who, like, she walked away. Like, she's trying to move on. Right. So, after all that, things got ugly really quick, but Heather, like I said, she was trying to move on. She even thought about seeing other people. Even though she had told people she worked with, she loved Sydney. Aww. So I think it was like for her, just like, she's 20, you know, puppy love of like falling real quick for head over heels for an older man giving you attention type of thing. But on December 17th then of 2013, she went out on a date. Because she was, like I said, she was really trying to move on from it. She wasn't contacting him or anything. Like, she was ready to continue her life. So December 17th, she went on a date with a guy she knew from high school. And they went out to eat. Then he took her to, it's now an abandoned mall, but the Inlet Mall, parking lot to teach her how to drive stick shift. Cute. Yeah. And there is a picture that she sent her father, which I'll have to show it to you then, but of her driving, and she sent that to her father that night, December 17th, that night of her trying to learn stick shift. They went back to his place, and they watched a movie, and then he took Heather back to her house around 1:15. And she was just chilling at home. She just got home, but she's young. She ain't calling it a night yet. Around 11, why do I keep saying 11? 1:35 a.m., a call to Heather from a payphone was made. Okay. Heather called the random number back 9 times. And it was Sydney. The conversation lasted about 5 minutes. Then at 1:45 a.m., so it's only been 10 minutes, Heather called her roommate to talk about the date, and also told her that Sydney called and said he would leave his wife. Here it comes. He would leave his wife. He misses her. He wants to be with her, and, you know, spilling all that.
So did they talk 9 times, or it took him 9 times to answer?
No, Yeah, I think it took her 9 times to answer.
Okay.
Because it was a payphone.
Right.
So, I don't know if they just kept missing each other, but that was what the phone records had, was 9 times. So he wants to be with her. He'll leave his wife, you know. That's what they all say. And the roommate told her on the phone, just leave it alone. Mm-hmm. Don't do anything right now. Like, go to bed, get some sleep. Don't worry about it. Like, you know, screw that guy. Mm-hmm. So that was... Now we're on to the 18th, because we're in the AM. So that was Heather's last phone call with anybody. And that one was at 1:45 a.m. So, and she hung up with her roommate, and then now the 18th at 4 a.m., officers spotted a green Dodge Intrepid abandoned at Peachtree Landing. And that's only a few miles from my house. Like, literally, if I wanted to walk there, I could walk there. Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, like, it's like 3 miles. Like, if I really wanted to, I could. But he didn't investigate it at the time. He just, I guess, made a note about it, didn't go and investigate. It was just like, oh, abandoned vehicle. If I see it tomorrow, then we'll get it towed or whatever. Because it's not somewhere that you should be parking. It's a boat landing. Yeah, okay. Then later in that day, that car was still there. So they wound up running the plates. And they discovered that the car was registered to Terry Elvis, the father. And when they went to the home, Terry let police know that that was Heather's car about 8 miles from her home. And I'm glad police ran plates in this case. Yeah, it did. And so Terry and everybody started trying to call Heather at this point. Because, nobody knew. This is still just the next day, like the 18th. Yeah. And
still, there's, like, stomach or heart's probably dropped to their stomach.
Yeah, like, her car. Yeah. And 8 miles from your home, like, it'd be one thing if I'm in Peachtree when it's 3 miles away from. I'm not going there 11 o'clock at night. Right. It's for fishing and it's a boat ramp. Yeah. You know, like, it's to put your boat into the inlet. So, in the intercoastal waterway, but 8 miles, like, coming all the way from Carolina Forest, there's no reason that she would be where this was. So, she wasn't answering her phones. And it was going right to voicemail, actually. It wasn't even ringing. So at this point, she'll never be heard or seen from again. The police began sectioning off Peachtree, which is right there on the Waccamaw River, where the boat ramp is. They started searching the water and the surrounding woods, found nothing out of the ordinary, other than her car being there. Heather's vehicle was searched. Her cell phone, wallet, and purse were not found in the car. Police began questioning others, including her date. He was cleared. The police began questioning the coworkers at the kilt is when they were given the tip to look into Sydney Moore. They first questioned him at his home on December 20th. Okay, so between the 18th to the 20th, within that time, they have... they're working kind of fast. Yeah. They've gone to the Tilted Kilt. They've gotten some leads. They're trying to figure out what's going on. So they did that at like 2 a.m. Okay. There's video of him, police car video of them talking at 2 a.m. And he claimed that he hadn't seen Heather in 2 days. And stated also that the relationship between them there was no relationship.
You wanted there to be.
So now at this point, the police, she's a missing person at this point. There's no sign of a crime even being committed. The car is just, other than her things not being in there and her not being in there, her car was normal. Yeah. There's nothing in her car. It was just like yours with stuff outside the car. No, it was just normal parked car. No broken glass, no blood, no nothing. And then police began to take a look closer into Heather's phone records, and that's really where a lot of everything comes from for this case. Actually, it's more of a digital footprints than any kind of So looking into her phone records, it showed that in the early morning of December 18th, around 3:17, so she got off the phone with her roommate. saying about Sydney calling at 1:45 a.m. Now we're at 3:15 a.m. So she waited like 2 hours. She called Sydney and they talked for 4 minutes. Heather's phone was then tracked to Peachtree Landing, where she called Sydney 4 more times at 3:40. So only 30 minutes later, so between where she drove from 3:17 a.m., being on the phone with him, and they talked for 4 minutes. So let's say she got out the door by 3:25. That's about the amount of time she would need to get to Peachtree to be there around 3:40 a.m. She called Sydney 4 times at 3:40 a.m. By 3:41, 1 minute later, her phone died. I don't think it was charged. Because they weren't there yet. She was by herself in Peachtree.
Did they know it died, or could it have been turned off?
I think they knew it died. I think it would have told the battery percentage and said whether it was manually turned off or.
What are the odds? Like, her phone would just die right then.
Yep, she didn't charge it. I mean, probably back then. I mean, we were right out of high school. Maybe she wasn't. She was driving. What did I say? A 2000. It might not have been able to be something that she could have.
Even
charged in her car, yeah. Or she, I don't know, maybe if she was in love with him, maybe she was so excited to get out the door that she didn't even think about grabbing a charger.
Right, yeah.
You know? Oh, excuse me. So, by 3:41, her phone is dead. So police brought Sydney in for an interview. They talked to him about what's his whereabouts around that night when Heather went missing, and he stated him and Tammy were running errands. That they were at Walmart and went to get gas.
At 3 in the morning?
Yep. This prompted police to begin looking at surveillance footage. So, for the surveillance footage that they found for that night from Walmart, at 1:19 a.m., Sydney is seen buying a pregnancy test and a single cigar.
Oh, God.
At Walmart. Yes. This comes into play that it's theory that she was pregnant.
Oh no.
So 1:19 a.m. So this is right after Heather got the first phone call.
So that was 1:15, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Because then she called her roommate. It was 1:17 or yeah. They only talked for a few minutes. So at 1:19, that surveillance of him. But it's only him. And the receipt also. Okay. Time-stamped and everything. They got the receipt. The manager at the Tilted Kilt then had made statements before with the theories with the pregnancy test that her bra size has gone up 3 sizes. Ooh. And that she took a pregnancy test at work at one point, and it came back as an error, and she never took another one. Okay. So...
It's kind of creepy that your boss notices that. Your bra size went up.
I mean, maybe she was really close with the boss. I don't know. But, yeah. Then the footage showed that Sydney at the gas station was using the payphone to make the phone call to Heather at 1:35. Oh, it's 1:35 a.m.
1:30. Okay.
So they went to Walmart before calling her. So if they went to Walmart before calling her, getting the pregnancy test, they already had in their head, we're going to get her. We're going to meet her. Why would Tammy be taking a pregnancy test? The next footage that they have is actually from a residence who lived on Peachtree, where Peachtree Landing is, and it showed Sydney's F-150, a Ford F-150, coming into Peachtree right after Heather's phone dies at 3:41. Okay. So at 3:41, they can see the truck go by, and her phone has died. So they literally rolled up as her phone died. And then at 3:45, so 4 minutes later, that same camera caught the truck going back out. Which then, timing it all out and how far he had to travel, they would only spend about 60 seconds at Peachtree Landing and got out of there. So they just picked her up and got out.
I was going to say, there's no way they could have done anything there.
No. They literally just met her there. She parked her car. She got in probably willingly. She may not even...
It was just him. Yeah,
well, she probably didn't even know Tammy was in the car.
Yeah. Well, if it was dark out, she might not have seen her.
Yeah. So...
Do we know, though, that Tammy went with him to get her?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I have it then. How they collaborated the information. Okay. So they were only down at Peachtree Landing for about 60 seconds.
Poor girl.
Yeah.
That'd be so scary.
That's all we have from that night. That's it. That's the last, that truck leaving at 3:45. That's it for any kind of surveillance then. A few days later, they found footage at the Moore's home. They had their own surveillance cameras at their home showing them deep cleaning the truck and also burning the rags from cleaning the truck in a burn pile in their yard.
Didn't think to turn their cameras off with all of this.
No, but you want to know what they did think about? They found that the truck's GPS tracking device was turned off on the night of the 17th to the 18th. Now, to turn off your tracking device in your vehicle, you have to manually remove the SD card that it is and from the vehicle so that it can't track you. So you have to...
Even located?
I think it's in the... I think when I was looking, it was like under the dash or middle console area. But you have to, like, this doesn't just happen. You have to go and do it. So they disabled their GPS tracking on the truck for that night, the 17th to the 18th. And after her disappearance, Tammy still continued to bash her on social media.
Oh my god.
Yep.
Like you said,
she's fucking trash is actually what I put. It's right here in quotations or in little parentheses I put, she's fucking trash.
Yeah.
So that's
very petty.
Yep.
Like, please get over yourself. Like, you're 41 years old.
Yeah. God, this case is infuriating, really, actually, because that's it. Like, there's not much to this case. 2 months later now, the Moores were arrested on kidnapping. So 2 months later, after all that surveillance footage, that's all the evidence they had. You know, they didn't get the truck. They didn't anything.
Well, you can charge on circumstantial evidence. You've got enough of it.
Well, they arrested him on the kidnapping and murder charges, but the murder charges were dropped because there's no body, there's no evidence. Tammy and Sydney were tried separately, starting with Sydney in 2016. So this happened in 2013, now we're into 2016. This trial ended in a hung jury for kidnapping. A hung jury.
Seriously,
for
proof his truck rolled in and rolled out.
Yes. But they sentenced him to 10 years for obstruction of justice. That's what they got him on. 10 years for obstruction of justice. Because of the story saying, when the police at 2 a.m. interviewed him, he said, I haven't seen her in a day or two. Well, they could prove that he had been in contact with her. Because he...
on this jury? I just want to talk.
Right? Who you be? He then was retried in September of 2019 for the kidnapping charge. The only new evidence presented was the footage of them cleaning the car. And he was found guilty and sentenced to 30 years without parole. Just for the kidnapping. Yeah. Tammy was tried in October of 2018. So this happened in 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
She just lived free for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. They would have held her for 5 years.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, she would have been in jail for 5 years, waiting for a trial.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. There was no footage evidence of her, is why also I think it might have taken longer, because they had to trace her cell phone. And by tracing her cell phone, they could place her at the same locations as Sydney throughout the night.
Okay.
So she did.
Clearly, she was with him.
Yes, that's how they could prove. They literally had no other evidence about her. She's been in no contact with Heather other than bashing her on the internet and stuff. But that's not evidence of a crime,
No.
unfortunately.
Suspicious.
Yeah.
No.
So she was sentenced to the 30 years. Oh, she also decided to testify at her own trial.
Interesting.
One of those. She's one of those. So
she's like a Ted Bundy.
yeah. She's really
a killer all along.
Yeah. I really think she was the mastermind behind this whole thing.
Oh, I think so too.
But she was found guilty and was sentenced to 30 years without the possibility of parole.
Dumb bitch.
Yes. Both of them have tried to appeal their sentencing in June of 2023, and they were denied.
Well, thank goodness.
Yeah. So yeah, that is the case of Heather Elvis.
And
That's it.
And there's still no body, right?
No body. They have no idea after that where she went.
That's so sad.
No body. We have no idea where the truck went after that footage from Peachtree as it leaves. No idea where the truck went. No idea where Heather went.
They would have taken her somewhere. They would have done this somewhere else, most likely, and then went home and cleaned.
Yeah.
They didn't take her back to their house and killed her.
No. They probably strangled her. I mean, it's the South. Could have shot her. I don't know. They had to clean the truck, so.
They probably fed her to gators, honestly.
Yeah. That was a theory. I don't like to entertain theories as much, but that was a theory, which is a good theory.
It is.
Being in the South.
There's a bunch down there.
There is. We have game land that my dad goes hunting on, and there's literally nothing out there. And it is like 30 minutes from my house. There's nothing. Just gator swamps.
Yeah.
And a good place to hunt and fish.
Yeah, so unfortunately they have lots of options to dispose of her.
Yeah. And they didn't squeak at all. In no interviews. They hold their innocence. They had nothing to do with it.
He should take some sort of plea deal and turn on his wife, because she 100% made him
do this. Yeah.
He would not have killed her if it wasn't for his wife.
I think she got in the car that night. They made her take a pregnancy test.
Well, that was the only thing. I was like, where does this pregnancy test come in? Where they're going to take her to the woods and make her pee?
I guess.
On a pregnancy
Yeah,
test?
I guess. Whatever.
Why did they even buy that?
Maybe Tammy needed that.
Maybe that was, if it's positive, I'm killing her.
Yeah.
If it's negative, we'll let this go or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and if her bra size is going up, why is your bra size going up? So I do think she may have. It is, yeah. Yeah, so that's unfortunately. I mean, we're in 2025 now, so it's been 12 years. And
in any of your research, did it say, like, how extensive their searching for her was?
Other than doing the area where her car was, there's nowhere to go. They have no evidence of where to even begin to look. Because once that car's out of that Peachtree, you get to that end of that road, Kirsten, you can go left or right. And either one's taking you to a different highway.
Okay.
And then you can jump on the highway, you can jump on 31, you jump on 707, hit 17. There are abundant of places they could have went from just that area. Even though that's a dirt road. And like there's no exit. You have to turn around. Once you get to the end of that, the possibilities are endless as to where they took her.
And did it say what time they were seen cleaning their car out?
Let me see. It was the next day, or not the next day, was it the 20th? What did I say? Hold on.
I'm just wondering if they knew what time they were seen cleaning the car, if they could have somehow mapped out a distance of where they could look. Like, oh, if they came back at this time, that's a so-and-so minute drive. Let's go search this area. That's 40 minutes away. I don't know.
No, it was, like, if not the next day, 2 days after. Because they went and,
so they probably didn't clean it right when they got home. Maybe.
No. They were cocky about it, I think. I think they really thought they were going to get away, which they got away with murder. They really did. Well, they talked to him at 2 a.m. on the 20th. And that was when... So, at that point, if they hadn't even cleaned it yet...
And it was the 20th? The day they did this?
The 18th.
The 18th, okay.
Early in the morning. So, even 2 days later, they didn't get to him till then.
Yeah.
So, I bet you they cleaned out the car a day or two later.
Yeah, once they knew police were on their trail.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's terrible.
Well, I honestly wasn't sure if Brittany Drexel would ever be found, because there was talks of her being fed to gators, too.
There were so many rumors, yeah, and theories of what happened.
We found out it was just, like, unfortunately, a motive of opportunity.
Yeah.
A young girl took her
and yeah, did that. And I feel like this one... I don't know if Sydney would have done it if Tammy didn't. We don't know anything.
I know.
That's what's really frustrating about this case, and why it's because there is, like, no evidence. There's no trail. There's no...
I think the wife forced him to. Just knowing how controlling she was. She would tie him up. Like,
yeah.
Who knows what kind of abuse he was going through at home because of this situation.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what all she was doing to him. And at home until he did that.
Yeah, she probably literally threatened him saying, if you don't keep your mouth shut, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
You know, like, because like I said, they haven't peeped. They literally, both of them, hold their innocence of everything.
I wish he would turn on her.
Yeah. All we can do is hope that they come out with the truth, because otherwise I don't think she'll ever be found. I really don't. Unfortunately, because there's like no evidence.
Yeah, unless they come forward.
Yeah.
It's probably not likely.
Yeah, and she was a beautiful young woman. Very bright future, and I think she just got caught up in a moment, literally a 3-month moment,
Right.
that ruined her life, ended her life. Unnecessarily, obviously,
right. And
but
she wasn't even doing it maliciously. She
no,
didn't know he was married.
No, and
it's not like she's like, oh, I know this man's married, I'm going to take him from his wife. Like,
yeah,
that wasn't her intention.
No, I really think she's working 2 jobs, you know,
right.
like she was trying. She'd be our age, literally, and she ended at 20. She didn't even make it to 21.
Yeah, that's so sad.
That is really sad. So that is the unfortunate case of Heather Elvis. And I could ask if anybody has any information, but I know. Let me tell you, being in the Myrtle Beach area, that family works hard to still try and get justice. Her mother is a seamstress.
Oh, okay.
And does some, and the sister's a seamstress. I know somebody who went to them for their wedding dress to be tailored. Yeah, so I mean, they're kind of just living their lives, but for the longest time, even they were paying for billboards to be up and stuff. Many, many, many years. I remember seeing Heather Elvis billboards and things up. So they've put in the work to try and get their answers. They really have. It's just unfortunate that this is the circumstance.
Well, at least we know the people that did it are behind bars. Right
they
now.
are. 30 years is by no means justice.
Right.
You know, I'm glad it was without parole, but those terrible people go to sleep every night and knowing that they took a young woman's life. They won't tell the family where, just for a little bit of peace to bury somebody or even just know.
Can only hope some bad karma comes to them.
Oh God, I hope so. Well, we hope you tune in to the next episode. So make like a shadow and follow us on Instagram.
At Lurking in the Shadows Podcast.
On TikTok.
Lurking in the Shadows Pod.
On Gmail.
Lurking in the Shadows Podcast at gmail.com. Keep lurking around for our next episode.